At 77, I had given everything to my son and his family, from the down payment on their house to their lavish lifestyle. But that night, as I dressed for dinner at their house, my son, Michael, texted, "You weren't invited. My wife doesn't want you there." The humiliation was a raw wound, but it was also the spark that finally ignited my silent rebellion. Before we jump back in, don't forget to subscribe while you're listening, and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Now, take a breath and listen closely. This is my story. The message glowed, an icy burn against my aging eyes. "You weren't invited to dinner. My wife doesn't want you there." My hand, steady for 77 years, trembled. It was from Michael, my son. I stood in my navy blue dress, its invisible wrinkles smoothed, a futile gesture. Arthur, my late husband, had always approved of this dress for family gatherings. Neat, never too flashy for Victoria. Michael had said dinner was at 7. An hour left, once filled with quiet anticipation. Now the living room felt hollow, each familiar object a silent witness to a shattering truth. Photos, once precious, now felt like relics of a deceptive past. Arthur's kind eyes, young Arthur, 15 years gone, still echoed in my mind. "Eleanor, don't let yourself get hurt." He knew boundaries, even with Michael. I never did. My phone had vibrated moments before with an earlier text from Michael, a casual cancellation. "Mom, I'm sorry, but we can't make it tonight. Victoria is hosting a dinner for her co-workers." A standard excuse, perhaps, but the second text, raw and direct, stripped away any pretense. I sank into the armchair, phone still clutched tight. Memories flashed. Michael's tiny hand in mine on his first day of kindergarten, his embarrassed whispers asking for girl advice, the proud gleam in his eyes introducing Victoria. Now, this, a stark, cold, alienating message. Was it a sudden decision, or just the first time they dared to be honest? How many false smiles had I received? How many forced invitations? My gaze drifted to the River Ridge Estates brochure, glossy on the table. Their new 3-story townhouse, overlooking the river, with a private dock. The home where my corner awaited, as Michael had promised, when I gave him the $120,000 down payment 6 months ago. An investment in the future, he'd called it. My corner had vanished. I remembered signing the bank paperwork. Sarah Jenkins, the bank manager, her face etched with thinly veiled surprise. "Are you sure, Mrs. Vance? It's a substantial sum." Arthur had left me comfortable, enough to help our son. It felt right, I'd continued. A new car for Michael, Leo's private school, Victoria's coveted kitchen remodel. Each check written, each time believing it was love exchanged for security. What did I get in return? Scarcely a call. Formal holiday visits. Now, a text message of absolute rejection. Slowly I rose, walking to my mother's antique secretary. The top right-hand drawer. Financial documents neatly arranged. The folder labelled Michael bulged thickest. I opened it. The rustle of paper a cruel whisper. A $20,000 check for a business he abandoned. Victoria's education courses. Roof repairs on their old home. Leo's car insurance. My aid had been ceaseless. How many times had I helped, supported, rescued? And for what? To be barred from the doorway of a house I'd paid for. My phone vibrated again. Not Michael. Clara. My granddaughter. "Grandma, are you coming over today? I missed you." Clara. So different. Sincere. Caring. She actually sought me out. I typed slowly. "Honey, it looks like your parents have decided it's best for me to stay home." Her reply came instantly. "What? Why? Daddy said yesterday that you absolutely had to be there." Clara didn't know. She was innocent in their game. That house, my house, now a stage for their deception. All these years, I'd thought I was buying family. It turned out I was just renting their attention, and the lease had expired. I grabbed my phone and dialed Riverside Community Bank. A polite voice answered. Good evening, Riverside Community Bank. How may I help you? Good evening. My name is Eleanor Vance. I'd like to consult about some regular payments from my account. After brief security questions, the voice confirmed. Thank you for the confirmation, Mrs. Vance. What exactly can I do for you? I'd like to cancel all automatic payments and transfers from all my accounts. Every single one. A brief pause. All payments, Mrs. Vance? You have quite a few. Yes, all of them. And I also need to revoke the power of attorney I gave to my son, Michael Vance. A hint of confusion. This is a major change, Mrs. Vance. Perhaps you should come down to the bank branch for a more detailed... I'll come down tomorrow morning to sign. I cut in. But I need the process to start today. Is that possible? Another pause. Yes, we can temporarily suspend all payments until your visit, but we'll need your signature for a full reversal. Great. Suspend everything right now. As she typed, my gaze fell on Arthur's photo. You were right, honey, I thought. You can't let people walk all over you. Ready, Mrs. Vance. Temporary suspension activated. You have a total of 174 regular payments and transfers, all of which are blocked until your visit to the branch. 174. The number echoed. 174 ways I'd sustained them. Thank you. I'll be there tomorrow when it opens. I hung up. A strange lightness settled over me, as if a heavy burden had lifted. My phone vibrated again. Michael. I knew Clara's message had reached him. I ignored it. Instead, I drafted a quick text. Then pay your own way. Hey, freeloaders. My finger hovered. Was I ready to burn it all down? To shatter the fragile peace bought with my generosity? But they had already shattered it, hadn't they? Denied me basic respect. Unwelcome in the very home I funded. I pressed send. Then, I turned the phone off. A profound calm descended. For the first time in years, I had acted for myself. It was liberating. I pulled out an old photo album. Flipping through its pages, a life of endless sacrifice revealed itself. I had melted into the needs of others, forgetting my own dignity. Arthur's dying words. Eleanor, don't let anyone take you for granted. I hadn't kept that promise. Not until today. I closed the album. My navy blue dress came off. My comfortable housecoat went on. Tea brewed. A long-neglected book lay open. Tomorrow, a new chapter would begin, unbound by financial chains. 174 receipts, 174 reasons to move on. The phone remained off. My heart, finally, beat steady and calm. Have you ever felt that profound silence after making a choice that irrevocably alters your life? A silence that's both terrifying and utterly peaceful. The morning air felt crisp, sharp, cutting through the last vestiges of doubt, replacing them with a radiating purpose. Riverside Community Bank opened at 9, but I arrived 20 minutes early. The night had been surprisingly peaceful, the first time I'd slept without pills in years. Determination gave my steps a steady rhythm. When the doors finally slid open, I was the first customer. Good morning. Can I help you? The young woman behind the counter smiled warmly. I need to see Mrs. Jenkins, I replied. Sarah Jenkins had worked at the bank for nearly 30 years. She was the person Arthur and I always trusted. A few minutes later, I sat in Sarah's office. She hadn't changed much. The same neat grey hair, the same attentive eyes behind thin-rimmed glasses. Eleanor, it's good to see you, she said, shaking my hand. I was informed about the call yesterday. All 174 payments have been suspended, as you requested. Is something wrong? I met her gaze directly. I want to cancel them all, forever, and cut off Michael's access to my accounts. Sarah removed her glasses, polishing them with a tissue. A familiar gesture when she was deep in thought. Eleanor, we've known each other for years. Are you sure? It's a rather radical decision. I'm absolutely sure. She nodded, typing on her computer. All right. I'll prepare all the necessary documents. It will take some time. You do have a lot of automatic payments. While the system hummed, Sarah pulled out a thick folder. Here are printouts of all your regular transactions for the last year. It might be helpful for you to look through them so you don't miss anything. I opened the folder. Pages and pages of statements, each line a silent exodus of money from my pocket into their lives. The first, the monthly mortgage payment for Michael and Victoria's new house, $30,800. I remembered Michael's beaming face showing me the house. Mum, this is perfect. There's a guest room with a private bath on the first floor for you. A guest room I'd never slept in, a house I was now barred from. Next, the insurance on Victoria's premium SUV, $850 quarterly. Necessary for high-level clients, she'd said. Then, Victoria's country club membership, Leo's private dental clinic bills. Special bite, Grandma. Clara's college tuition. That was the only money I didn't regret. Each receipt triggered a memory, a request, a tearful plea, a thinly veiled expectation. Mum, we're so tight on funds. Grandma, it's the latest model. Everyone has one. Eleanor, you don't want your grandson to suffer from complexes, do you? Receipt after receipt, page after page. A map of my naivety, their relentless greed. Here's the paperwork to cancel all payments. Sarah's voice brought me back, and the power of attorney revocation form. Please read it carefully and sign if you agree. I took the pen, signed without hesitation. Eleanor? Sarah's voice softened. If you need any help, any advice, it's all right, Sarah. I smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile. Everything is truly okay. Walking out of the bank, I felt lighter, as if I'd shed an invisible weight. My next stop, Mr. Davies's law office. Francis Whitaker, his full name, had handled our family's legal affairs since Arthur was alive. His beard was greyer, his glasses thicker, but the shrewd glint in his eyes remained. Mrs. Vance, what a pleasant surprise. He gestured to a chair. How can I help? I want to change my will, I said, calmly, confidently, and set up a lifetime trust to protect my assets. He raised an eyebrow. May I ask what prompted this decision? Family circumstances have changed. I saw no need for details. I need to know how I can legally and safely manage my finances without interference from my son or his family. He nodded, asking no more questions. There are several options. Let's discuss each. For the next hour, we navigated irrevocable trusts and contingent provisions. I felt strangely free, making these choices solely for myself. When we finished, my phone blinked. 15 missed calls from Michael, 7 from Victoria, 3 from Leo. None from Clara. Shall I have the paperwork ready by the end of the week? Mr. Davies asked, walking me to the door. The sooner the better, I replied. And, Mr. Davies, thank you. He nodded, understanding. You know, Eleanor, Arthur always said you were stronger than you looked. I'm glad to see he was right. I walked out with a slight smile. Arthur. He always saw right through me. On the way home, I stopped at the supermarket. For the first time in ages, I bought groceries just for myself. No thought of Michael's preferences or Leo's favorite snacks. It was a strange, pleasant feeling to think only of my own desires. Have you ever experienced that quiet shift, when burdens you've carried for decades simply vanish, leaving behind an unexpected lightness? A surprise awaited me on the porch, a silent sentinel of the storm I'd just unleashed. Clara was sitting there, arms wrapped around her knees, a small, worried figure. She jumped up the moment she saw my car pull into the driveway. "Grandma?" She rushed over, helping me with the grocery bags. Her brow was furrowed, the stubborn wrinkle I remembered from my own youthful worries appearing between her eyebrows. "I've been calling all day. Why didn't you answer?" "I've had a busy day, dear." I opened the front door, stepping into the familiar quiet of my home. "Come in. Tell me what happened." We went into the kitchen. Clara sat at the table, her fingers tapping nervously on the countertop while I put away the groceries. "Grandma, what's going on?" "Dad's in a panic. He says you've blocked all payments and won't answer your phone." I calmly took out the kettle, filling it with water. "It's true. I've decided to cut off your family's financial support. But why? Her voice held genuine bewilderment. Did something happen? I placed the kettle on the stove, the gentle hiss of water beginning to heat, filling the small silence. Your father cancelled my invitation to the family dinner last night. Said your mother didn't want me there. Clara's face went pale. What? No way. Dad's been saying all week how important it was that you come. I have a message. I pulled out my phone, showing her Michael's text. Clara covered her mouth with her hand as she read. Oh my God. I didn't know. I swear. Her eyes welled with tears. It's awful, Grandma. I don't understand how he could... I placed a comforting cup of steaming tea in front of her. That was the last straw, Clara. For years, I've paid for everything. From your parents' house to Leo's tennis lessons. All that time, I felt like I was being used. Yesterday, I got confirmation. Clara stared into her cup, silent. Then, she looked up, her gaze steady. You know, I've always seen it. How they, take advantage of your kindness, especially Mom. She paused. I tried to talk to Dad, but he always defended her. I nodded. Deep down, I always knew Clara understood more than she showed. What's going to happen now? She asked quietly. I mean, they have a lot of payments to make. Loans. They'll have to manage on their own. I shrugged, a calm acceptance in my voice. They're adults, with good jobs. Michael's a building inspector. Your mother's a successful realtor. They'll be fine. The phone on the counter rang again. Michael. I muted it. Aren't you going to answer it? Clara asked. Not today. I shook my head. I need time to collect my thoughts, and he needs time to realize the consequences of what he said. Clara looked at me thoughtfully. You know, Grandma, I've never seen you so determined. I smiled weakly. I hadn't seen myself like that in a long time either. We finished our tea in a comfortable silence. When Clara stood to leave, she hugged me tighter than usual. Are you okay? Sure you don't want me to stay? I'm perfectly fine, dear. I stroked her cheek. Go on, and don't worry about me. She nodded, but paused at the door. I'm not taking sides in this conflict, Grandma. You understand that, don't you? Of course I do. I smiled. This is between me and your parents. It has nothing to do with you. After Clara left, the house fell silent again. I checked the mail. A notice of a failed charge on Leo's credit card. That fast. Apparently, my grandson was living up to his credit limit. I set the letter aside and sat by the window. My phone kept vibrating with incoming messages and calls, a relentless buzzing against the quiet. I paid no attention. Instead, I pulled out an old photo album, opening it to a random page. A picture from 20 years ago. Arthur and me, young Michael and Victoria, little Leo and Clara on a picnic. Everyone smiling. When did things change? When did support become an obligation? When did love transform into an expectation of financial assistance? I closed the album and walked to the hallway mirror. The woman looking back at me from the reflection looked tired, but there was something new in her eyes. A determination I hadn't seen in years. Time to remember who you are, Eleanor Vance, I said to my reflection. The ringing of the doorbell shattered my thoughts. My heart jumped. Was it Michael? I went to the door, peering through the peephole. Beatrice Hayes, an old friend, stood on the doorstep, a wicker basket in her hands. Have you ever found strength in the quiet aftermath of a difficult decision, only to realize the true reckoning is still knocking at your door? Eleanor! Beatrice embraced me as soon as I opened the door, a wicker basket clutched in her hand. I called, but you didn't answer. I thought I'd drop by, make sure you were okay. Come in, Beatrice. I stepped aside, letting her enter. I'm sorry, I turned my phone off. Just a little family emergency. Beatrice set the basket on the table, homemade cookies and a jar of jam. Family problems? She looked at me, her eyes sharp. Victoria, again? Beatrice had never hidden her opinion of my daughter-in-law. Predator, she called her. Michael, this time, I said, briefly recounting the message from yesterday and my decision. Beatrice listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from concern to growing relief. When I finished, she took my hand. "At last!" she exclaimed, so genuinely happy that I couldn't help but smile. "I'm sorry, Eleanor, but I've watched them take advantage of you for years. How many times I wanted to say enough, but it was none of my business." "I know," I sighed. "You were right all along. I just didn't want to see. So, what now?" Beatrice asked, pouring us tea. "Michael must be panicking by now. Let him panic." I shrugged. I need time to sort out my feelings, and them to realize what they'd lost. We talked through the evening. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a mother or a grandmother, but just a woman talking to a friend. It was profoundly liberating. By the time Beatrice left, it was getting dark. I decided to finally check my phone. 37 missed calls, 23 messages. I started scrolling through them, wrinkling my nose at the tone that grew progressively more desperate and demanding. "Mum, what's going on? Why isn't the mortgage payment going through? Eleanor, it's Victoria. We need to talk. It's urgent. Grandma, my card's been blocked. I'm stuck in town with no money." The last text from Michael had arrived 10 minutes ago. "Mom, I'm on my way to see you. We need to talk." My muscles tensed. Was I ready for this conversation? But there didn't seem to be a choice. I turned off the light in the living room and walked to the kitchen, putting the kettle on. I took out my best cup, the one I only drank from on special occasions. Today was a special occasion. The day Eleanor Vance finally said no. I heard the familiar rumble of a car pulling up and looked out the window. Michael. Alone. Without Victoria. That was unusual. She usually commanded all the important conversations. The doorbell rang, a demanding trill, like the signal for a fight to begin. I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and went to open the door. Michael stood on the doorstep, uncharacteristically disheveled. His usually neat shirt was wrinkled, and his eyes, wild with a mixture of irritation and panic, darted past me into the darkened living room. "Mum, what's going on?" He didn't waste time with greetings. "All the payments have been rejected. The bank says you've revoked all the authorizations. We can't pay the mortgage." I walked into the kitchen, where the kettle was already boiling. "Do you want tea?" I asked calmly, taking out a second cup. "What tea?" Michael shook his hands in despair. "Do you realize what's going on? The bank called about the late payment. Victoria is hysterical." I poured boiling water into the teapot, then turned to my son. "I understand. I have cancelled all financial obligations to your family. All 174 payments. I have no intention of resuming them." Michael froze, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "What? Why?" He slumped back into the chair, eyes fixed on me. "Is this some kind of joke? You weren't invited to dinner. My wife doesn't want you there." I quoted his message, watching his expression shift from bewilderment to a dawning, terrible realization. "That was a message from you, Michael, not a joke." And my response wasn't a joke either. He went pale, lowering his head. It's not what you think," he started, but I cut him off. "What am I supposed to think? That my own son kicked me out of the door of the house I paid for? That my daughter-in-law doesn't want me at their table, even though I fund their lifestyle?" I placed a cup of tea in front of him, but he didn't even look at it. "Mum, it was stupid. I admit it. I shouldn't have written it. Victoria was upset, and you decided to make her happy by insulting your mother." I finished for him. "That's very sweet, Michael." "Mom, please," he pleaded. "We can't do this without your help. We have a mortgage, loans. Leo has to pay for college." I took a slow sip of my tea, feeling the anger inside that I hadn't dared to release in years. "Didn't you think about that when you denied me even basic respect? When Victoria criticized my clothes? When Leo missed my birthdays? When you didn't call me on the anniversary of your father's damn death?" Michael looked ashamed, but I saw a flicker of irritation in his eyes. He was always a bad actor. "Mom, we appreciate everything you do for us. We do. It's just that Sometimes he hesitated, searching for words. Sometimes there are misunderstandings. We all love you, even Victoria, even though she doesn't always show it. I looked at my son, a grown man, a father of two, who now looked like a little boy caught stealing cookies. Michael, I don't believe you, I said quietly. I don't believe you love me. You love my money, my help, my willingness to solve your problems. But you don't love me. That's not true. He jumped up from his chair. How can you say that? Because it's true. I remained seated, keeping my composure. When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling? Inquired about my life? Invited me over for no reason? Not when you needed money or help with the kids? Michael opened his mouth, but couldn't find anything to say. Your father always said you can't buy love, I continued. I didn't listen. I thought if I was generous enough, helpful enough, you'd appreciate me. I was wrong. Mom? Michael took a step toward me. I understand you're upset. Why don't you let Victoria and I come over this weekend? Talk things over calmly. No. I shook my head. I don't need to. My decision is final. But how are we going to pay for the house, the cars, Leo's tuition? I could hear the sheer panic in his voice. You have a good job, Michael. So does Victoria. You're adults. You can handle it. He clenched his fists, and I saw the irritation on his face harden into anger. You can't do this to us. His voice rose. After everything you... What? I stood up too. What have you done for me, Michael? Name one thing you've done for me unselfishly, expecting nothing in return. He was silent again, and I could see him frantically going over the events of the last few years, trying to find an example. His silence was more eloquent than any words. You see, I sighed. You can't even think of one example. It's not fair. He took a step back. You're embarrassing me. Awkward? I grinned. What kind of embarrassment did you put me in by turning down a house and a family dinner? Michael ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I remembered from his teenage years when he was nervous. It was a mistake, Mum. I've already apologized. What do you want me to do? Get on my knees? I want you to leave, I replied. I need time to think things over. When I'm ready to talk, I'll let you know. But Mom, go away, Michael. My voice was quiet, but firm. Please. He stared at me for a few seconds, as if he couldn't believe I was actually kicking him out the door. Then he silently turned and walked out of the kitchen. I heard the front door slam, then the roar of his car's engine pulling away. Only when the sound died down completely did I let myself sit up and exhale. My hands were shaking. Confronting my son was harder than I'd expected. Part of me, the old, familiar part of me, wanted to run after him, to tell him I'd give it all back just so he wouldn't be angry. But I didn't. Instead, I finished the cooled tea and started washing the dishes. I needed to keep my hands busy, to calm my mind. The phone rang. Victoria. I rejected the call. A minute later, a message came through. Eleanor, we need to talk. Michael told me about your conversation. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Let's talk things out, like adults. Like adults. Victoria always loved that phrase, especially when she wanted to show her superiority. I didn't respond. The morning promised another chapter in this unfolding drama. Have you ever faced down someone you loved, knowing that standing your ground meant breaking their expectations forever, and felt both terrified and strangely empowered? The morning felt crisp, sharp, confirming my new resolve. My attorney, Mr. Davies, arrived. He laid out the new will and trust deed. I signed, securing my assets. Clara and charity shares, Michael and Leo the minimum, Victoria nothing. Mr. Davies noted, such drastic changes are rare. I've hesitated enough, I replied, shedding years of indecision. A park walk offered fragile peace, starkly contrasting my shattered family. My phone rang. Leo. Grandma? Did you cancel all payments? His tight, desperate voice echoed my actions. Yes, Leo, I confirmed. It's true. My credit card's been blocked. I can't pay the rent. He panicked. You're 23, Leo. You work, I calmly stated. Why still dependent on my money? He stammered. Used to it. Exactly, I interrupted. You all took my help for granted. You never asked how I felt when your father wrote I was unwelcome in the house I paid for. That was the last straw. Now deal with it on your own, like adults. I ended the call. A mix of sadness and resolute relief. That evening, Clara's message. Grandma, house in chaos. Parents fighting. Leo in panic. Are you okay? Can I come over tomorrow? I replied, yes, dear. I'm perfectly fine. Another storm was brewing. Have you ever found the courage to break a cycle of dependency, knowing the immediate chaos it would unleash, yet holding firm for your own peace? The morning brought an unexpected surprise. Victoria stood on my doorstep, impeccably dressed, a strange, perfect smile on her face, holding a box of cakes from an expensive pastry shop. Eleanor, good morning, she purred, extending the box. May I come in? We need to talk. I let her in silently, wondering what strategy she'd chosen. Victoria walked into the living room, her eyes doing their usual appraising sweep. Eleanor, she began, perched delicately on the edge of the couch, hands folded in her lap. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Really? I sat across from her, offering no tea. Victoria shook her head, a look of genuine regret pasted on her face. Michael shouldn't have sent that message. It was an emotional reaction. We were stressed about work, planning dinner. Victoria, I interrupted, cutting through the performance. Let's not waste time. You're not here to apologize. You're here for the money. Her smile faltered, a crack in the perfect facade, but quickly returned. Eleanor, it's not fair. I'm truly sorry for what happened. We all appreciate your help and support. You are an important part of our family. So important that you didn't want me at your table? I asked, my voice calm, devoid of anger. Victoria sighed, as if explaining something obvious to a dull child. That night was special. We had important guests, potential clients. I wanted everything to go perfectly. You know how important this is to my career, and I would ruin it. With what, exactly? I raised an eyebrow. With my old-fashioned clothes? Inappropriate comments? That's not what I meant. She pursed her lips. Eleanor, let's be honest. You and I have always had a complicated relationship. But that's no reason to destroy the whole family. Michael's desperate. Leo can't pay his bills. We're in danger of losing the house. The house I paid for, I reminded her. Which you helped pay for, she corrected, her voice sharp. We put up a lot of money too. I looked at this woman. Beautiful, confident, used to getting what she wanted. She had been part of my family for 25 years, but I'd never felt a real connection. Victoria, I leaned forward. I will no longer finance your life. Not the house, not the cars, not Leo's education. Nothing. This is my final decision. Her face changed. The mask of friendliness shattered, revealing the cold calculation I'd always sensed beneath her smiles. You can't do this to us. Her voice hardened. After all we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me, Victoria? I asked with genuine curiosity. She stammered, clearly unprepared. We included you in our family, allowed you to be a part of your grandchildren's lives, took care of you. Taken care of? I couldn't hold back a bitter laugh. When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling? When you called just to talk, not to ask for money. Victoria stood, her face pale with anger. You're going to regret this, Eleanor. We're the only family you have. Who will take care of you when you are too old to live on your own? I'll take care of myself. I stood too, just like I did all my life, before I started spending all my energy and money on your family. She headed for the door, stopping on the threshold. This isn't over, Eleanor. Michael won't leave it alone. You're his mother. He has rights. Rights to what, Victoria? My money? I shook my head. Go away. And don't come back until you learn some basic respect. After Victoria left, I felt strangely empty. It was as if the final scene of a long play had been performed, the curtain fallen, the actors dispersed. I went to the window. The day was clear, sunny. Life outside went on. Neighbours gardened, children rode bikes, the letter carrier delivered mail. My gaze fell on the kitchen table where a stack of unpaid bills lay. Before, I would have tackled them immediately, fearing deadlines and disappointing my family. Now, I could pay them whenever I wanted. I could go to the store and buy myself a new dress without worrying about Leo's tennis club fees. I could take that art class I'd wanted for ages. For the first time in years, I was truly free. Free from obligation, free from guilt, free from the constant need to sacrifice my own desires for the sake of others. I picked up my cell phone and dialed Beatrice's number. "Remember you were talking about going to the mountains next month?" I asked when she answered. "I'd like to join you, if the invitation still stands." "Eleanor!" I could hear the joyful surprise in her voice. "Of course, we'd be delighted, but I thought you wouldn't be able to because of—" "I can now." I smiled. I no longer had any obligations holding me back. After talking to Beatrice, I pulled out an old notebook and started making a list of things to do, places to go, things I dreamed of doing but always put off because there were always more important things. Michael's needs, Victoria's wants, Leo's whims. Now it was my time. Eleanor Vance's time. And I was going to make the most of it. The phone rang again. Michael. I firmly rejected the call. I had more important things to do today. Have you ever cut ties with someone you always felt obligated to and found not loss, but a profound and liberating sense of self? The quiet calm following Victoria's visit proved short-lived. 2 weeks passed with no calls from Michael. I began to settle into my new freedom, planning a trip to Italy, a dream Arthur and I had shared. The peace was abruptly shattered by a doorbell chime. I opened it to Leo, dishevelled, eyes shadowed. "Grandma," he stammered. I need help." He entered, slumping onto the couch, hands rubbing nervously. "Money, Grandma. My card's blocked. The bank's demanding payment. I can't pay my rent. My car. I'm totally shit out of luck." I sat across from him, calm. "You're 23, Leo. Why are you still dependent on my money?" I don't know. I always asked my parents, or you." "Exactly." I nodded. "Always someone. But you can't go on like this forever," he pleaded. "I know, Grandma. I'll learn. Just help me this last time." "No, Leo," I said, firm. He flinched. "I'm not giving you any money." "But Grandma, what am I supposed to do?" he asked, disbelief clouding his face. "What adults do?" I replied. "Look for a solution. Talk to the bank. Find income. Cut expenses." He jumped up, anger colouring his face. "So you're just leaving me? After telling me you love me?" "I love you, Leo," I countered, steady. "That's why I refuse to support your addiction to my money. That's not love. That's codependency. You're just getting back at us because of a fight with Dad," he shouted. "Leo, sit down." He obeyed, stunned. I'm not taking revenge. I stopped being an ATM. Stopped buying the love and respect that should be unconditional. I paused. "When was the last time you came to me just for fun, without asking for money? You can't remember, can you? Our relationship is a transaction." "Not true," he protested, but weakly. "Name me one thing you've done for me unselfishly in the last year." He faltered, searching his memory. "You came to your birthday party," he offered. "An hour late, no present. Left right after cake." He dropped his head. "I didn't mean to. I didn't think—" "That's right, Leo. You weren't thinking about my feelings." I softened. "I'm not mad. I'm just not going to participate in this unhealthy relationship anymore." I leaned forward. "I won't give you money, but I can offer something else. My friend, Mr. Davies, a lawyer, needs a part-time assistant." Leo's eyes widened. "Would you do that? After everything? You're my grandson, Leo. I love you, but my love won't be checks and credit cards." He nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. Thank you, Grandma. When Leo left, a strange mix of sadness and satisfaction settled over me. This might be a start. That same evening, Clara arrived. I met Leo. He was quiet. We talked about money. I wasn't sure he took it well, I admitted. Clara stirred her tea. It's good for him to grow up. Leo's always had it too easy. How are things at home? I asked cautiously. Clara sighed. Not great. Parents fight all the time. Mum blames Dad. Dad blames her snobbery. She glanced at me. They're selling Mum's car, the SUV you funded, refinancing the mortgage. I nodded. A prick of conscience, but a necessary lesson. Grandma, Clara said, taking my hand. I support your decision. I've seen them use you. Thank you, Clara. It means a lot. I just want you to be happy. You've taken care of us for so many years. It's time to think about yourself. Our dinner was normal. Her work, my Italy plans, books. No asking, no manipulation. Just interest. When Clara left, she hugged me tighter. I'll always be there for you, right? No matter what. I know, honey. I stroked her cheek. And I'll always be there for you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Later, Michael called. Mum. His voice strained. We need to talk tomorrow, as a family, about how we could fix it. I sighed. Michael, my decision is final. Mum, please, he pleaded. At least hear us out. We're ready to compromise. I hesitated. Part of me dreaded the pointless talk. But the wiser part knew a complete break wouldn't make me happy. Okay, Michael. 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. My place. Thank you, Mum. We'll be there. All of us. I hung up, looking out at the evening sky. Another family negotiation. But this time I had new rules. Is there a strength that comes from setting boundaries, even when it means facing the very people who once defined your world? The quiet calm was a prelude, a deceptive lull before the storm that would forever reshape my family. At precisely 2:00, the doorbell chimed. Michael stood alone, dishevelled. Mum, he whispered. What's going to happen tonight was not my idea. Victoria insisted. He squirmed, hinting at decisive action. A sudden roar of engines shattered the quiet. 3 cars pulled up, disgorging Victoria, Leo, Clara, and a crowd of Victoria's relatives. A pre-staged support group. My blood ran cold. Your wife brought outsiders into my house to discuss our family conflict? I asked, my voice dangerously low. Victoria's artificial smile strained. We are all here to discuss the situation, as a family. I surveyed the awkward faces. This is my house. I invite who I choose. You, Michael, and the kids. The rest will have to leave. Victoria's face flickered with rage, but she motioned her relatives away, their murmurs fading. When the door clicked shut, I turned to them. What is this circus about? Victoria wasted no time. Your selfish decision affects our entire extended family. My parents were counting on us. Michael's brother needs support. Michael's brother, Neil? The one you forgot for 5 years? I cut in. Everyone suffers, including your grandchildren, Victoria retorted. Leo picked up the cue, panicking about rent. Grandma, I'm being evicted. You could move back with your parents, I suggested. We can barely make ends meet, Victoria exclaimed. The bank threatens foreclosure. My gaze drifted to Clara, who stood apart, tears in her eyes. I'm here because I respect your decision, Grandma. I don't want them to speak for me. Victoria shot her daughter a withering glare. Eleanor, we're ready to compromise. Victoria tried, her voice softening. Michael shouldn't have sent that message. It was a mistake. This isn't about the message, Victoria. I shook my head. That was the last straw. It's about years of neglect, disrespect, and use. Use? We're family. She threw up her hands. Only when it comes to money, I countered. Where was this family unity when I spent holidays alone? When I was sick and none of you called? Or on Arthur's damn death anniversary? Silence. Michael looked down. Leo shifted. "We're all very busy, Eleanor," Victoria offered weakly. "I was busy too," I interrupted. "But I always put your needs first. How did you repay me? When did you genuinely ask how I felt, Michael? When did you visit without asking for money, Leo? Name one thing you've done for me, unselfishly, Victoria." Their faces were blank, no answers. "You see?" I sighed. "No real relationships, only transactions. I gave, you took. This is manipulation," Victoria hissed, her composure breaking. "You're destroying our family with your selfishness." "My responsibility to provide for you all?" I asked. "Michael is 54, Leo 23. You're a successful realtor. Why are you still dependent on my money?" "Because you've always helped, Mom," Michael blurted. "We relied on you." "Exactly. You used to. You thought it was your right, not my choice." I turned to the window, seeing Victoria's relatives still waiting. "You still don't understand. I wasn't a mother, grandmother, or mother-in-law to you. I was an ATM. When that source dried up, you remembered family values." Victoria took a step, face contorted. "You ungrateful, selfish old woman. After all we've done." "Nothing," I answered, cold. "You tolerated me for my money, criticized my life, turned Michael and Leo against me. Now you're surprised I don't want to be part of it?" To Michael, "Son, I love you, but not this toxic relationship. I won't finance your life. I won't ignore disrespect." "What do you want, Mom? Beg?" Michael pleaded. "Grow up. Take responsibility. Learn to respect yourselves." Victoria snorted. "Beautiful speech. Now we need money. Now." "No, Victoria, not now, not later, not ever. You can't do this. We're your family. Family is caring, respect, attention. I haven't gotten that from you in years." To Leo and Clara, "Kids, I love you both. My door's always open. For real communication, not money." Clara nodded. Leo avoided my gaze. "Now," I straightened. "Leave. This conversation is over. And take your support group." Victoria glared, then stormed out. "You'll regret this, Eleanor. When you're alone." Michael hesitated, then followed. Leo trailed. Only Clara hugged me. "I'll call tomorrow, Grandma." I sank into the chair, a mix of sadness and relief. Victoria's excited voice drifted from outside. I didn't care. The phone rang. Beatrice. "Eleanor, I just saw a delegation at your gate. Long story. Victoria had a family meeting." I sighed. "How did it go?" "Lots of drama, little understanding." "Come over. I could use a friendly shoulder." 20 minutes. I'll bring wine." I smiled. Today, painful as it was a necessary step. 6 months later, the Tuscan sun warmed my face. I sat on a terrace, sipping wine, Beatrice sketching beside me. "Can't believe we're here," I mused. "Arthur would be so happy. He'd be proud of you, Eleanor." To the new Eleanor. We clinked glasses. Michael and Victoria tried more tactics, but I held firm. They sold their house, moved to a smaller apartment. Victoria took an extra job. Michael finally managed finances. Leo surprised me, working for Mr. Davies, finding himself. Clara and I remained close. Her calls, her visits, our bond based on true affection. She pushed me to take this trip. Who would have thought 77 starting over? I reflected. You've always been stronger than you thought, Eleanor. You just finally let that strength show through. I looked at the Golden Hills. All my life I gave my power to others. Now, I'd reclaimed it. My phone vibrated. Clara's message, a picture of her new apartment. My bond with her. Precious. That evening, on my hotel balcony, I heard Beatrice's happy laughter. I'd feared being alone, clinging to unhealthy ties. Paradoxically, letting go brought true freedom. Fewer people, yes, but the ones who remained, Clara, Beatrice, old friends, were there for real reasons. Love, respect, genuine interest. Victoria's words echoed, "You'll regret it when you're all alone." But I wasn't. I was with myself, truly. Tomorrow, a winery, a museum. No rigid schedules, no commitments. This was my life now, my time. Arthur would be pleased. I deserved more. At 77, I finally learned the most important thing: to love myself. The phone vibrated again. Michael's number. Before, I'd answer instantly. Now, I set it aside. Whatever he had to say could wait. Now was my time. I looked at the starry Italian sky and smiled. All the 174 receipts, all the sacrifices, past. Only freedom ahead. The most beautiful freedom I'd ever experienced. Is there a moment in your life when you truly put yourself first? And how did it change everything? Share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales of transformation.